So we have two specific recommendations for Thanksgiving dinner, and they're great. Now, I know what happens. When you give people specific recommendations, they love it and they hate it. They love it because they know exactly what to look for. They hate it because they know they're never going to be able to find that wine. We don't want that to happen, so we're going to help you with that.
We're going to help you find what to ask for at the wine store.
Hi, I'm Tracy Gardner from Pairing Base. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel. I'm here today with Irene Miller, who is a fantastic sommelier. You know, here at Pairing Base, we try to work with the best wine professionals out there, and that's what Irene is. Irene, do you want to introduce yourself a little bit?
Hello, my name's Irene. I am just about to start as the beverage director at the Dominic Hotel in Soho, but previously I've worked in New York in several top-rated restaurants, Lincoln, Del Posto, La Bernardin. Before that, I used to cook, so I have spent a good amount of my life eating and drinking. I'm ready to do some more.
Fantastic. Okay, so we're going to get into this. Again, we wanted you to be able to get a great pairing no matter what. The best way to do it is to get these wines. If you can't, then we want you to be able to walk into the wine store and say, I want a Blanc de Blanc champagne that tastes like X, or I want a Burgundy that tastes like Y. And so Irene's going to talk about what you should ask for specifically. So, do you want to talk about the champagne first?
So what we have here is the Pierre Peters. This is a Blanc de Blanc. When I taste this wine, let's taste it just a minute, just to refresh my memory. So what I get here is a lot of lightness and freshness, notes of citrus, green apple, also some ripe pear notes. And then you get this lovely character that happens with champagne as it ages, and it develops this really nice sort of lightly toasty kind of brioche quality. Mm-hmm. It's also, you know, the texture here is very important. The bubbles here, the mousse here is very, very fine, very creamy. So what I find when you're eating this dish, you know, the bubbles help refresh your palate, but there's also this kind of lovely creaminess that creates this sort of, you know, symbiotic relationship mm-hmm. with the food.
So it kind of simulates richness.
It does, but then it finishes super clean. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Great. You know, I remember we tasted another Blanc de Blanc champagne that we didn't like as much as we liked this one. And the difference was the bubbles were not as much in the forefront. They were sort of softer bubbles, and they didn't do as good a job of cleansing the palate.
Right.
And we joked that this champagne was sort of like scrubbing bubbles. The mousse did do a great job of cleansing your palate in addition to the acidity. Mm-hmm. And so those things are key.
Yeah, the acid is super important here.
Yeah, with this dish, when we tasted it by itself, we noticed that it kind of hangs around in your mouth more than other dishes. Maybe right. Because the gravy is heavy, because everything in there is kind of heavy and sticky. And so that's why you want, whether you know it or not, you want something to lift the weight off your palate. That covers the champagne, right?
I think so.
Okay. That was tasty. The other wine we liked is this Bourgogne Rouge from Domaine de Bachelet. Irene's going to talk a little bit about what you should ask for in the wine store if you can't find this guy.
I mean, this is just a really lovely, elegant Pinot Noir. Mm-hmm. It's very earth-driven. You get this really pretty sort of like baking spice note to it, maybe a little bit of cedar, kind of pencil shaving, but there's also really kind of classic red fruit, tart cherry, mm-hmm. There's some cranberry here. I think the cranberry, when you take a bite of this turkey and you have the cranberry sauce with it, I think it's really just an excellent pairing. Mm-hmm. I don't think you want like a super powerful style of Burgundy, but I think that this one, it has enough elegance and enough structure and enough acidity to be a really nice pairing with this.
Again, I remember when we tasted this Burgundy against a bunch of other Burgundies, it seemed like this one had much more sort of depth of fruit or more concentration of fruit. When the dish kind of made some of the fruit go away a little bit, there was enough fruit left over to still be apparent in the dish. You want to make sure you have a Burgundy that has some depth of flavor. Would you call it concentration or just depth of flavor?
I think they go hand in hand.
Okay.
I think you could say one or the other.
The food messes with the wine, but you want to make sure the wine can survive that and stay what you want it to be. And you want it to be that tart, red fruit, cranberry to go with the dish.
And it has a really lovely mineral character here. I think some of the other Pinots we tasted were just kind of fruit and not much else. Mm-hmm. But I think it's really about the layering of flavor here that makes it interesting with this dish, which can be, you know, very heavy.
I remember there's something really interesting happened when we tasted this before. When we tasted it with a bunch of other Pinot Noirs, the dish seemed to suck in or sort of, you know, cancel out the fruit flavors or the aromatics and leave you with the frame or the structure of the wine. And so wines that did not have as much sort of concentration or depth of flavor, you were left with just the structure as the pairing result, and that wasn't so pleasant. Something that doesn't have depth of flavor is going to leave you kind of harsh and with just sort of the frame and not the reward of a good pairing.
The flavor gets washed out.
Yeah. A quick way of saying that.
So to summarize, when you go to the wine shop, what you should be looking for in terms of a champagne or a sparkling wine, I think what's important here is that this is a Blanc de Blanc, so it's 100% Chardonnay. You have a lot of finesse and a lot of elegance. Fruit character here, you're looking at some citrus, some green apple, but also has this lovely sort of ripe pear note to it. It has a fineness of mousse and of bubbles that makes it really nice and creamy. And then it has this very sort of delicate, brioche sort of toasty note. With regard to the red, what we're looking for here, I would say Burgundy is really the key here to the flavor profile. You're looking for bright red fruit, tart cherry, cranberry, but the wine also has this very lovely sort of mineral core. You get baking spice, you get some cedar, maybe some pencil shaving. So something with some depth, some complexity, and some layering of flavor here. And something that's not too big, not too robust. You want tannin, you want acid here, but you don't want a monster.
So that's what to ask for in the wine store. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe to our channel and tune in for more videos.